1977 has been referred to by music critics as the year punk broke into the mainstream consciousness. In the UK, that was the year that the Sex Pistols and the Clash released their debut albums. Other UK punk and punk adjacent acts, such as The Dam, Alternative TV, Elvis Costello, and Sham 69, all released their first recordings between late 1976 to 77. In the States, you had the Ramones, who are commonly referred to as the first punk group, who released their debut album in 1976, and they released two more albums in 1977. They were the leaders of the New York punk scene, and along with acts such as Richard Hell and The Voidoids, Patti Smith, the Talking Heads, and Blondie, they helped establish CBGB as a legendary venue in the formation of punk and new wave. As with any genre of music, it doesn't just appear overnight, fully formed. The musical evolution takes place over many decades. The same is certainly true with the evolution of punk rock. We will analyze the developments which led up to the formation of punk rock. We will also look at some of the influential protopunk bands which contributed to the development of the genre. So we're going to start off by looking at the origins of the word punk. From the 16th century right up to the 18th century, the expression punk carried the idea of being a prostitute. This was the context that William Shakespeare used it in a couple of his plays. But the expression of the punk evolved to denote a male hustler, hoodlum, ruffian, or gangster. The first known use of the expression punk to describe a band or form of music was on March 22nd, 1970, Chicago Tribune read Ed Sanders of the band The Fugs referred to his debut solo album as punk rock redneck sentimentality. I shit my pants. Back in November 1970, electronic protopunk duo Suicide was the first group to refer to their music as being punk music on their promo flyers. In a December 1970 issue of Cream, critic Lester Bang referred to Iggy Pop as that stooge punk. One of the first critics to coin the expression punk rock is David Marsh, who in a May 1971 issue of Cream describes 60s garage rock band Question Mark and the Mysterians as giving a landmark exposition of punk rock. During the 70s, music critics continue to throw around the label punk, applying it to a diverse group of different types of rock acts, many not even generally considered punk by today's standards. Acts such as the Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Bruce Springsteen, and even the Bay City Rollers. In late 1975, a popular fanzine called Punk was formed. It featured music that was inspired by the MC5, the Stooges, and the New York Dolls. The music featured was more indicative of what would become known as punk rock. So we just focused on the terminology of the word punk. But more importantly, it is now time to focus on the musical evolution of punk. Since punk is a form of rock music, it really has the same DNA of rock and roll. So if you wanted to, you could trace the developments of the punk family tree way back. But for argument's sake, we're going to take the year 1963 as our starting point. In the 60s, garage rock was starting to break through. The raw and minimalistic musical approach of garage rock bands was considered an important precursor to punk. One song in particular, which contained the blueprint of the punk sound, was the Kingsmen 1963 hit, Louie Louie. Other important garage rock tunes, which contain the three-chord structure of punk combined with the raw energy, includes You Really Got Me by the Kinks and Wild Thing by the Troggs. Along with garage rock, mod rock was considered an important precursor. Early songs by The Who, such as I Can't Explain and My Generation, were very similar to the early punk sound that would later develop. From there, we had the protopunk bands that were influenced by the garage rock and mod rock of the 60s. The Velvet Underground is widely considered to be the first alternative band. Even though their aesthetic isn't necessarily punk in itself, they were a tremendous influence on a number of individuals who were instrumental in the development of punk rock. In 1969, two extremely influential proto-punk bands emerged from Michigan, the MC5s and the Stooges. The MC5s released a debut album, Kick Out the Jams, which also featured the legendary title track. 1, 2, 3, kick out the jams, motherfucker! While the Stooges released their debut self-titled album, Iggy Pop of the Stooges would go on to be widely known as the godfather of punk. The New York Dolls also developed a style of music which would be labeled as glam punk, and David Bowie had many stylistic elements, both musically and in the visual presentation, which would further contribute to the evolution of punk. Over in the UK, Malcolm McLaren, who had a brief stint managing the New York Dolls, was inspired by the CBGB scene. He operated a clothing store called Saks, which was known for its anti-fashion. McLaren helped form the Sex Pistols, which helped popularize the anti-fashion that McLaren's store was known for. While this was going on, an associate of McLaren, Bernard Rhodes, was managing the band London SS. London SS ended up disbanding before ever performing in public, but the band ended up merging into two different influential punk bands, The Dam and The Clash. The rest, as they say, is history. These developments now take us to 1977, the year punk broke. Of course, punk has continued to evolve since then. Who knows? That may just be a subject for a future video. So this is CJ Baker, and this concludes the video. Do you have a favorite punk rock band? Is there an influential protopunk band that I failed to mention? Please let me know in the comments. If you want me to continue making videos like this, please like and subscribe. You can also feel free to check out my website, Ongoing History of ProtestSongs.com. Thanks for watching, and please stay safe.
I overdosed.